One of the biggest breakthroughs in my life happened when I learned the art of defense, or the art to be resourcefully defending the position even when the position seems hopelessly lost. It's one of the thankless jobs. We are naturally attracted to attacking players. We're naturally attracted to attacking chess, and that definitely is a very human thing. I am a King's Gambit player. I play the King's Indian. I play the Dragon, and I've played this throughout my lifetime. I will continue to do so. I love attacking chess. You gain so much of beautiful victories when you play such aggressive chess, but at the same time you can't always get winning positions. You can't always get superior positions. Sometimes you end up being in a lost position. And that is the time when you need the defense. And defense does not mean playing passively, like playing very rat like mouse like chess. It's not like playing defensive chess solidly. No, it can be very resourceful, it can be very aggressive. Aggressive defending is something very important. Active defense is what it's called. Take for example this one. At the first sight it seems that black is in trouble because this pawn can come under fire, this pawn can come under fire, but it turns out that it is black who is leading here. It's black who is threatening some things here. Why is that so? Well, the reason for that is the pawn on c3 and the pawn on g3. They are much more advanced pawn, and black's plan in fact is very simple. He wants to go king to g7 and rook to h8 in some format, and then get his rook to the second rank, pick up this pawn, and this pawn on g3 is much more valuable than any of the black pawns on the queen side. If black wants, he can also sacrifice the pawns on the queen side just to get this passes. Like once the g2 pawn drops, the f3 pawn drops as well, and we will get two passes for black, nearly deciding the game. That would be enough to decide the fate of the game. So in fact it is black who is threatening something here, and black is uh, enjoying quite an interesting position. And at first sight, if you just observe the position for a few minutes, you will see that uh, if you does not find the resource that white has here, you find that basically white is lost. So it is this kind of positions that defense and problems teach us to, teach us to be creative, teach us to be resourceful, and keep continue fighting. Problems teach us to keep fighting because there are always beautiful, attractive, spectacular resources. So I'll give you a few minutes. It's white to play, defend the position, make it draw if possible, and see if you can find it. White's king is miserably placed on the other side of the board. It's in Siberia, and that's the reason his position is so miserable. Okay, I hope you have come up with the correct solution. The first move that we have to play here is king to b1. A very, very interesting idea. You might ask, what's the point of this? The king is still so far away from the king side, and why can't I just go something like king to g7 with the idea of rook h8 or rook h8 directly? So let's try with rook h8 first, and after that we can look at king to g7. So rook h8, it seems that all black needs to do is move the king, get the rook on the second rank, even to the first rank in some cases, win this guy, and you will get passed pawn. It's very strong passed pawn. Also, you can win the f3 pawn as well. It's like a chain, and we'll have two passed pawns, extremely dangerous. So at first sight, it looks lost until you find the beautiful aggressive resource, aggressive defense that white has here. So white plays rook to f8, a spectacular move, basically threatening to exchange the rooks. And if black takes, which he should obviously take, then white plays king to c1. A very little move. What's the point of this? Let's see. Black plays rook to f6. The idea is very simple. Just rook h6, and again invading and white's position, trying to attack this guy. After which the position will be hopeless. But king to d1 is played. Rook h6, king e1 or king e2. Actually, both the moves are perfectly alright in the game. We can play king e2. Let's try that. And here you see the point. If black plays rook to h1, that is a stalemate. That's a beautiful stalemate. Thanks to black's advanced pawns, we don't have a square to go for a king, and that's a stalemate. So going back, maybe just a second. Yeah, maybe in this position, maybe you can play rook h2, trying to target this. What is white going to do about that? White simply has king to f1, and now you realize that rook h1 penetrating the position is worthless because king simply puts himself on g2, on e2, pardon me, and then suddenly the back rank is of no use because no matter where you move your rook, either here or here, doesn't really matter. It's a stalemate. It's an instant stalemate. What happens if he after king to e2, or maybe here? What happens if he just moves his king? Then we simply use the g1 square. Whenever he moves his rook, we can just, oh, not there, not there, maybe here. Oh, pardon me for that. I always somehow do that, I always mess up the position, and I'm so sorry for that. Let's do that. So here, king to b1. Aha. It's like a boomer, I always end up making such moments. Anyway, rook to h2. Here you get my point. King to f1. Basically, white will always have the e2, f1 or g1 square and he will play appropriately. For example, if he moves a king, simply king to g1. Moving the rook doesn't really help. We just go to f1, and moving the king again doesn't really help because new variation this time. Yeah, this time I didn't mess up the position. Simply king to f1. Whenever you invade, I have the e2 square. It's like a heaven for me, safe heaven for me. And moving the king absolutely doesn't help because simply king to g1, and that's it. It's a draw. White black cannot make progress despite of having a huge material advantage. In fact, this position is so wonderful that if you put this in a computer or a engine, it will show you that black is completely winning, and then at some point it will suddenly change this evaluation and it will say dead draw, because despite the huge material advantage that black has here, he cannot win. He has a full rook which is incapable of winning. So going all the way back here, now let us look at what happens if instead of rook h8, let's see king to g7 first. Very, very sensible move. What are you going to play here? Because rook f8 is no longer a resource available for you, but here you have another aggressive resource for you. Passive chess doesn't mean playing very passively. I mean, defensive chess doesn't mean playing very passively. It doesn't mean playing like a mice or mouse, very, very polite, passive chess. It means playing aggressively. It means playing resourceful. And that's it. That's quite aggressive and spectacular. I mean, that's the kind of chess we're attracted to, aren't we? So let us find the move here. You can give yourself a few seconds and try to find the correct move for white that successfully defends the position. Yes, the move here we play is rook to h6. Simply phenomenal move. Basically, after black takes, we again go and march our king all the way forward. And here you see that rook h1 is not going to be useful because the king will park itself on e2 when it will be threatening a stalemate. And in case of rook h2, we simply have king to f1 and absolutely no way of making progress. The king can't enter the position, the rook can't do anything if it goes back over here. And simply king to f1, and there is nothing much. We can simply move our king to g1, and you can see we are just going to move our king from f1 to g1 and sometimes at e2 at the right time, and that is just a draw. So phenomenal puzzle, phenomenal problem. And okay, I like to share something with you. One of my friends recently seeing of all of these puzzles, he said to me, why do you need to study these problems? Aren't they waste of time? Because this kind of positions are never gonna come into your game, never ever. Like, look at this position, it's never going to happen in your game. It's practically worthless, useless. Then why study this kind of problems? The simple answer for that is this ideas. It's not the position that you learn, it's the ideas that you learn. It's the gem of beautiful ideas, stratagems that you learn from this. The idea of rook sacrifice in this case might not be practical because you might not get this kind of position in your game, but the thing is it always stays up in your subconscious mind. That idea always remains in the back of your subconscious mind, and when it is time to innovate, when it's time to create for a chess player, that idea in some form or other just replicates itself and recycles itself and becomes some other beautiful idea. So it's always useful to study problems, it's always useful to look at these beautiful resources, and they are not at all a waste of time. In fact, they can in some form or another just recycle themselves in our subconscious mind and uh, help us defend at the right moment. So definitely not waste of time at all. Apart from that, it also develops your creativity, imagination, which is very, very important. Capablanca and other players like that were completely dependent, very much dependent, not completely, but very much dependent on their intuition and imagination. And that is why they were such a great attacking, not attacking, but endgame players, great strategists. So yeah, definitely something useful. Just because these positions are never going to end up in your game ever in your life doesn't mean that these ideas are useless. The ideas are very useful and they remain in your subconscious mind for good. So hope you have learned something out of this video and learn the art of defense. It's being resourceful and it's definitely not being passive, it's being aggressive at times, active at times. And that's all for today. Thank you for watching and hope you enjoy this video. If you like the video, do subscribe to my YouTube channel and also comment. I'd like to read your comments, and I definitely do read all of your comments. So bye until next time.